The door creaked open like a gunshot in the dead of night, shattering the fragile silence I'd built around my grief. Ethan stood there, my stepson, the boy I'd raised since he was 12, the straight-arrow jock who'd buried his mother beside our old life in Ohio, his chest heaving, eyes wild with something feral and unspoken. "Logan," he whispered, voice cracking like thunder, "I can't pretend anymore. It's you. It's always been you." I froze, the whiskey glass halfway to my lips, the burn in my throat forgotten as his words sliced through me sharper than any blade. Rain hammered the windows of our cramped Chicago apartment, a relentless drumbeat mirroring the chaos erupting in my chest. Love, terror, the ghost of his mother screaming no from the grave. Ethan stepped forward, the floorboards groaning under his bare feet, and in that moment, the world I'd so carefully rebuilt crumbled, leaving us both exposed, raw, and irreversibly tangled. The storm outside had been building all evening, much like the tension that had simmered between us for months. I'd moved us to Chicago after Sarah's funeral, Ethan's mom, my wife of 8 years, chasing some half-baked dream of starting over in the city that never sleeps. But sleep, that had become a luxury I couldn't afford. Not with the bar tabs piling up at O'Malley's. Not with the endless shifts at the auto shop greasing engines to pay for the shoebox of an apartment on the south side. And certainly not with Ethan crashing through my defenses like a freight train. He was 22 now, fresh out of community college with a welding certificate and a job at the same shop. His broad shoulders filling out the flannel shirts he favored like some throwback to our Ohio farm days. Straight as an arrow, or so I told myself. Girls at the bars would eye him up, giggling when he'd flash that crooked grin, the one that dimpled his left cheek just like Sarah's. He dated a few, Katie from the diner, then that redhead whose name I couldn't recall, but nothing stuck. Just playing the field. "Pops," he'd say, clapping me on the back with that easy affection that masked the distance growing between us. Pops. The word still stung, a reminder that I was the interloper, the gay man who'd married his mom in a whirlwind romance back when I was deep in the closet myself. Sarah knew, of course. She'd been my rock, pulling me out kicking and screaming. But Ethan, he'd been a kid, oblivious to the undercurrents. After she died, breast cancer, aggressive and unforgiving. He'd clung to me like a lifeline, but grief twists people. It had hardened him, turned his boyish laughter into guarded silences, his hugs into quick pats on the shoulder. That night, as the rain lashed the fire escape outside my bedroom window, I'd been nursing a bottle of Jack, staring at the faded photo on my nightstand. Sarah in her sundress, Ethan at 10 with a gap-toothed smile, me in the middle, arm around them both like I belonged. The lie of it all choked me. I'd loved Sarah fiercely, but not in the way a husband should. Our marriage was a compromise, a safe harbor in a world that still chewed up men like me. Now, alone with her ghost and the boy she'd left me to raise, I wondered if I'd ever truly known peace. The door flew open without a knock. Ethan never knocked anymore, not since he'd turned 18 and declared his independence with a slammed fist against the fridge during one of our rare fights. But this was different. He wasn't storming in with accusations about my drinking or the overtime that kept me away. No, he was disheveled, hair plastered to his forehead from the downpour, his gray t-shirt clinging to the ridges of his abs like a second skin. In his hand, he clutched a letter, the envelope torn ragged at the edges, ink smudged from wet fingers. "Logan," he said again, his voice a ragged plea that rooted me to the bed. He crossed the room in 3 strides, the scent of rain and motor oil trailing him like a signature. Up close, I could see the tremor in his jaw, the way his green eyes, Sarah's eyes, flickered with panic. I found this in Mom's old box. The one you hid in the attic. My heart plummeted. The box. I'd shoved it up there after the move, a Pandora's relic of letters and photos from my pre-Sarah life. Coming out notes from a college buddy who'd ghosted me, grainy Polaroids of stolen kisses in dive bars, a single earring from a lover whose name I'd long forgotten. Secrets I'd buried deeper than Sarah's casket. Ethan, kid, it's late. Whatever it is. No. He thrust the letter at me, his knuckles white. It was one of mine, yellowed with age, addressed to no one. A confession scrawled in drunken fury about loving a man who'd never love me back. You wrote this. About wanting to touch him. To feel him against you. And God, Logan, reading it, it was like looking in a mirror. The words hung in the air, heavy as the humidity before the storm broke. I snatched the letter, crumpling it in my fist, but the damage was done. Ethan's face crumpled too, tears carving tracks down his cheeks, mixing with the rain. I thought I was straight. All those girls, the dates, the bullshit I fed myself. But it's you. The way you look at me when you think I'm not watching, the way your hand lingers on my shoulder. I feel it too. I can't breathe without it. Panic clawed at my throat. This was my stepson, the boy I'd bandaged knees for, cheered at football games, lied to every damn day to keep him safe in a world that devours vulnerability. Ethan, stop. You're confused. Grief does that, twists everything up. Your Mom's gone, he shouted, voice breaking on a sob. He dropped to his knees in front of me, hands gripping my thighs through my sweatpants, the heat of him searing like a brand. She knew about you. The letter said so. She loved you anyway, and she told me once, before the end, that if I ever felt lost, to find someone who sees me, really sees me. That's you, Logan. You've always seen me. I wanted to shove him away, to bolt the door on this madness. But my body betrayed me. My hand lifted of its own accord, cupping his jaw, thumb brushing the stubble there, rough, like mine after a long shift. His eyes fluttered shut, a soft whimper escaping his lips, and in that sound, I heard the echo of my own buried desires. The room spun, the whiskey souring in my gut, as the boy I'd raised became a man unraveling before me. We didn't speak after that. Not with words. He rose slowly, pulling me up with him, our bodies colliding in a clumsy tangle of limbs and unspoken fears. His mouth found mine tentative at first, tasting of salt and desperation, then hungry, devouring. I groaned into the kiss, hands fisting in his wet shirt, yanking it over his head to reveal the lean muscle I'd pretended not to notice in the shower steam or across the breakfast table. Skin on skin, we fell back onto the bed, the mattress creaking under our weight, the storm outside a symphony to our unraveling. It was frantic, uncharted, fingers exploring scars and freckles, breaths mingling in gasps, the letter forgotten on the floor like shed skin. Ethan arched beneath me, whispering my name like a prayer, and for the first time in years, I felt alive, not just surviving. But as dawn crept through the blinds, painting his sleeping face in gold, Guilt crashed over me like the receding tide. What had I done? This wasn't love. It was wreckage. And yet, as he stirred, curling into my side with a contented sigh, I couldn't bring myself to pull away. The next morning brought the hangover of liquor and regret. Ethan woke with a start, eyes darting to mine, a flush creeping up his neck. Last night, he started, voice hoarse. Was a mistake, I finished, the words tasting like ash. I sat up, sheet pooling around my waist, avoiding the evidence of our night scrawled across the rumpled linens. Ethan, you're young. Figuring shit out. This us, it's wrong. I'm your stepdad. For Christ's sake. He bolted upright, hurt flashing in his eyes like lightning. Wrong? Felt right. For once, something felt real. He swung his legs over the edge, grabbing his discarded shirt, muscles coiling with tension. You think I don't know the risks? The looks we'd get, the whispers, but I can't go back to pretending. Not after that. We argued then, voices rising over the sizzle of eggs in the kitchen. Him pleading for a chance, me barricading with reasons. Society, family remnants back in Ohio, the shop where we'd both sweat for respect. By noon, he stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the thin walls. I collapsed onto the couch, head in hands, the letter mocking me from the bedroom floor. Days blurred into a tense standoff. Ethan slept on the lumpy futon in the living room, our interactions clipped, past the salt, rents due Friday. But the air crackled with electricity, stolen glances across the dinner table. His foot brushing mine under the formica top, accidentally. I threw myself into work, fingers black with grease, ignoring the ache in my chest that had nothing to do with the cold Chicago wind. Then came the call from Aunt Marlene, Sarah's sister in Cleveland. Family reunion next month, she chirped over the line, oblivious to the minefield. Ethan's old high school buddies will be there. It'll be good for him. Get him out of that city funk. Ethan overheard, his face lighting up for the first time in weeks. I need this, Logan. Normalcy. To see if it's just you or everyone, he didn't say. The jealousy that flared in me was ugly, possessive, but I nodded. Go. Clear your head. Deep down, I prayed he'd come back unchanged, that this was a phase born of loss. But as I watched him pack, folding his flannel into the duffel with deliberate care, doubt gnawed at me. What if he found someone else? What if he didn't? The reunion was a disaster waiting to happen, but I couldn't have predicted how it would shatter us. Ethan returned 2 days early, eyes hollow, a bruise blooming purple on his cheekbone. He dropped his bag in the hall, collapsing against the wall with a defeated slump. Katie was there, he muttered when I rushed over, hand hovering but not touching. And her new boyfriend, some frat boy from college. They cornered me at the bonfire, asking why I'm still single, why I look at guys the way I do. My blood ran cold. What happened? He laughed, bitter and broken. I told them the truth. About us. About the letter, the night. Everything. His gaze met mine, defiant through the tears. They laughed. Called me a fag. Said you corrupted me. The boyfriend swung first. But Logan, I don't regret it. Not one bit. Rage boiled in me, hot and immediate. I grabbed my keys, ready to drive to Ohio and unleash hell. But Ethan caught my arm, pulling me close. Stay. Please. I need you, not the fighter, the dad. The man. We made love again that night, slower this time, mapping each other with reverence under the hum of the radiator. Whispers of "I love you" slipped out unbidden, sealing our fate. But love like ours was a ticking bomb, and the fuse was lit. Weeks turned into a fragile routine, a secret dance in the shadows of our apartment. By day, we were Logan and Ethan, stepdad and stepson, trading jokes over lukewarm coffee and splitting the Chicago Tribune crossword like nothing had shifted. But at night, with the city lights flickering through the blinds like distant stars, we shed the pretense. His body became my map, every curve and hollow a territory I'd claimed in stolen hours. His laugh muffled against my neck, the way he'd traced the tattoo on my forearm, a faded anchor from my Navy days, whispering stories I'd never told Sarah. It was intoxicating, this forbidden bloom. Ethan opened up in ways he never had, confessing the bullies in high school who'd shoved him into lockers for being too soft, the porn he'd watched obsessively to prove his straightness, only to fixate on the men. I saw you in them, he admitted one evening, head in my lap as I carded fingers through his hair. Strong, quiet, safe, safe. The word haunted me. Was I, with the specter of discovery looming? Neighbors who nodded hello in the stairwell, co-workers at the shop who ribbed Ethan about his bachelor life. Every touch felt like Russian roulette. I started leaving earlier for shifts, coming home late with excuses of overtime, but he'd wait up, eyes searching mine for the lie. You're pulling away, he'd accuse softly, and I'd pull him closer instead, drowning doubts in the salt of his skin. Then came the betrayal, sharp as a rusted wrench to the gut. It started innocently enough. A text from Marlene, forwarded from Katie's boyfriend, Ryan, the frat boy who'd clocked Ethan. Tell your pervert stepdad to keep his hands off. It read, attached to a blurry photo snapped at the reunion. Ethan, drunk on cheap beer, arms slung around my waist in an old snapshot from Ohio. Innocent then but damning now. They dug, pieced together whispers from the past. And now it was ammunition. Ethan saw the message first, snatching my phone from the counter where I'd left it charging. His face drained of color, the fork clattering from his hand onto the linoleum. They know, he breathed, showing me the thread. Marlene had replied with prayers and pleas. Come home, Ethan. We'll get you help. Away from him, the world tilted. I paced the tiny kitchen, heart pounding like a V8 engine redlining. It's bullshit. That photo's ancient, they're twisting it. But even as I said it, shame coiled in my belly. What if they were right? I corrupted him, turned his confusion into this obsession. Ethan's response was fire. Fuck them. They're scared because they see it. How happy we are. He grabbed my shirt, yanking me to him, kissing me fierce and claiming. We're not hiding anymore. Not from this. But hiding was all we had. The next day at the shop, whispers followed us like exhaust fumes. Old man Hargrove, my boss, pulled me into the office, door shut tight. Heard some noise from Ohio, Logan. About you and the boy. His eyes narrowed, bushy brows knitting. Family drama's one thing, but this shop's got standards. Reputation. I swallowed bile, nodding through gritted teeth. It's lies, sir. Ethan's like a son to me, he grunted, waving me out. Keep it clean. Or find another garage. Ethan overheard later, from the water cooler gossip. He confronted me in the break room, voice low and trembling. They're watching us. Like we're criminals. We are. In their eyes, I snapped, regret instant as his flinch. I'm sorry. God, kid, I never wanted this for you. He stormed off, wrench clanging against the toolbox. And that night, the apartment felt like a cage. We ate in silence, the TV droning some cop show rerun, until he couldn't take it anymore. Remember Mom's letters? The ones about living true. He slid a notebook across the table, his own, pages filled with jagged script. I wrote this. For us. I read it by lamplight. Poems of longing. Raw verses about stolen glances in the shop. The curve of my neck under fluorescent lights. It was beautiful, heartbreaking, a mirror to my own suppressed youth. Tears blurred the ink, and when I looked up, he was there, kneeling again, but this time with hope in his eyes. Let's run. To California, maybe. Start over where no one knows. The dream tempted me. Palm trees, ocean air, a life unyoked from judgment. But reality was the eviction notice peeking from under the mail stack, the savings drained by Sarah's medical bills. And say what to Marlene? To your old friends? That you chose this. I choose you, he said simply. And in his voice, I heard the boy who'd trusted me with his first heartbreak, his college acceptance letter. We made love on the living room floor that night, carpet burn on knees, the city symphony our only witness. But dawn brought clarity, cruel and cold. Love like ours demanded sacrifice, and I wasn't sure I had enough left. The breaking point came mid-November, as the first snow dusted the fire escape. Ethan had been pulling extra shifts, saving for our escape, but exhaustion carved hollows under his eyes. I came home early one Friday, arms full of takeout from the Greek place on Halsted, gyros and baklava, his favorite, to find him on the couch, phone glued to his ear, voice pitched low. Yeah, Katie, I miss you too. That night at the reunion. Maybe we rushed things. A pause. His laugh forced. No, Ryan's an S. But you get me, you know? The real me. My stomach dropped, the paper bag crumpling in my grip as sauce leaked through. He was talking to her, the girl from the diner, the one who'd broken his heart senior year. Betrayal hit like a sucker punch, hot and nauseating. I dropped the food on the counter, the thud announcing me, and Ethan's head snapped up, eyes widening in horror. Call you back, he muttered, hanging up. Logan, it's not. What the fuck? Ethan, I roared, voice echoing off the peeling wallpaper. You're flirting with her? After everything. He stood, hands out like placating a wild animal. It's cover. Marlene's been calling. Ryan's spreading shit online. I had to say something to shut them up. Make them think I'm normal. The word was a knife, twisting. And what am I? Your dirty secret? The thing you fuck when the lights are out. Tears welled in his eyes, but anger sparked too. You're everything, but you won't fight for us. You keep one foot out the door, waiting for it to blow up. We tore into each other then, accusations flying like shrapnel. My cowardice, his impulsiveness, the ghost of Sarah judging from afar. He grabbed his jacket, bolting into the snow-slick streets, and I let him go, collapsing against the door with a sob that racked my frame. Hours passed, the city burying itself in white, my texts unread. By midnight, panic clawed at me. Visions of him under a bus, frozen in an alley, and I threw on my coat, plunging into the night. I found him at O'Malley's, hunched over a beer at the corner booth, snow melting in his hair. The bar was half empty, jukebox crooning some Springsteen ballad about highways and heartbreak. He looked up as I slid in opposite, our knees brushing under the scarred table. "Go home, Logan. Not without you." I flagged the bartender, ordered 2 whiskeys neat. "I'm sorry. For doubting. For making you feel like less." He stared into his glass, jaw tight. "I called Katie because I was scared. Of losing you. Of this ending before it starts." The whiskey burned going down, loosening the knot in my chest. "It won't. I promise." I reached across, lacing our fingers, uncaring of the grizzled regulars who might glance our way. His hand trembled in mine, warm and real, and in that dingy bar, under neon signs buzzing like fireflies, I saw our future, not perfect, but possible. We stumbled home arm in arm, the snow muffling our laughter, a tentative bridge over the chasm we'd carved. But betrayal's shadow lingered, a crack in the foundation, and as we fell into bed, tangled and urgent, I wondered how long we could outrun the storm. Winter clamped down on Chicago like a vice, turning the South Side into a frozen labyrinth of salt-streaked sidewalks and howling winds off Lake Michigan. Our fragile peace held, though Ethan and I navigating the days with coded glances, nights with fevered whispers that chased away the cold. He'd taken to leaving notes in my lunch pail. "Miss your hands already scribbled on a napkin," or a doodle of us as stick figures holding hands under a rainbow. Childish, yeah, but it melted me every time, reminding me of the boy he'd been before the world tried to break him. We talked about the future more, huddled under threadbare blankets, steam from our breath fogging the window panes. California still beckoned San Francisco, with its rainbow flags and Castro street bars where men like us could walk hand in hand without a second glance. "We could open a shop there," Ethan mused one night, his head on my chest, fingers tracing lazy circles over my heart. "Weld custom bikes for the tech bros. Live in a loft with a view of the bay." I chuckled, kissing his temple, the scent of his shampoo, cheap drugstore pine, filling my lungs. "Dream big, kid. But first, we save." No running half-cocked. He propped up on an elbow, eyes gleaming in the dark. "It's not running. It's choosing life. With you." The words lodged in my throat, heavy with the weight of what we'd built from ruins. But doubt was a persistent fucker, whispering in the quiet moments. What about his dreams? The art classes he'd dropped to work the shop? The sketches of Harleys and hot rods filling his notebook margins? Or mine, the novel I'd half-written in stolen evenings, a gritty tale of a mechanic's redemption that now felt like prophecy? The real fracture came from outside. As always, Ryan, that Ohio prick, hadn't let up. Screenshots started appearing in Ethan's DMs. Group chats from the reunion, memes twisting our story into tabloid trash. Stepdad seduces son, Midwest mayhem. Marlene called daily, her voice cracking with maternal fury. "He's brainwashing you, Ethan. Come home. We'll fix this with therapy, prayer, whatever it takes." Ethan deleted the messages, blocked the numbers, but the poison seeped in. He grew quieter at work, flinching when Hargrove clapped his shoulder too hard, I starting to see if anyone noticed. One afternoon, as we scrubbed oil from our hands in the shop sink, he muttered, "What if they're right? What if I am broken?" I shut off the faucet, water dripping like tears, and turned him to face me, thumbs smudging the black from his knuckles. Broken? Nah. We're both a little bent. Maybe. But that's what makes us fit. I leaned in, stealing a quick kiss, risky in the open bay, but fuck it, tasting the grit and him. His sigh was my reward, tension easing like a released spring. That weekend, we escaped to the lakefront, bundling against the gale in scarves and beanies, walking the deserted path where joggers feared to tread. The water was slate gray, waves crashing like accusations, but Ethan laced our gloved fingers, swinging them like kids. Remember the bonfire stories Mom used to tell? About the lighthouse keeper who fell for the storm. I nodded, smiling at the memory, Sarah's voice, warm as cider, spinning yarns to soothe our fears. Yeah. He tamed it with light. "You are my light," Ethan said, stopping to face me, wind whipping his scarf. He pulled me close, foreheads touching, and in that frozen bubble, with gulls crying overhead, he proposed not with a ring, but with a promise. Marry me. Not legal, not yet, but ours. Vows under the stars. Tears stung my eyes, freezing on my lashes. "Ethan, say yes." His voice cracked, raw with need. "Make me yours." "Yes," I breathed, and we kissed there, fierce against the elements, the world fading to just us, two men claiming each other in defiance of the cold. But romance is a cruel bastard, always demanding its toll. The climax hit like a nor'easter, unexpected and brutal. It was a Tuesday, Valentine's Eve, the shop slow with post-holiday slump. I'd planned a surprise, tickets to a drag show downtown, then dinner at that Italian hole in the wall where the candles dripped wax like secrets. Ethan buzzed with it all day, sneaking winks over the hood of a Chevy, his grin boyish and bright. I got home first, setting the table with the good plates, chipped but cherished from Sarah's set, uncorking a bottle of red. The door clicked open at 7, but it wasn't Ethan's step. Ryan stood there, snow-dusted and smirking, a six-pack dangling from one hand like a peace offering. Behind him, two burly shadows, his buddies from the reunion, faces twisted in booze-fueled bravado. "Evening, Pops," Ryan drawled, pushing past into the kitchen, the others flanking him. My pulse thundered, keys still in the lock. "Heard you two lovebirds had plans. Thought we'd crash." "Where's Ethan?" I demanded, voice steady through the fear coiling in my gut. "Out back. Smoking." "Sent us ahead." Ryan cracked a beer, foam spilling over his knuckles, eyes raking the romantic setup with mock awe. "Candles? Cute. Compensating much." The door to the fire escape banged open then, Ethan stumbling in, cigarette pinched between lips, confusion morphing to terror as he clocked the invasion. "Ryan? What the hell? Surprise." "Buddy." Ryan lunged, clapping Ethan in a bear hug that turned chokehold, the others closing ranks. "Missed your ass. Figured we'd sort this family drama, man to man." Ethan struggled, elbow jabbing, but they pinned him to the wall, beers clinking like toasts to violence. "Let him go," I roared, charging forward, but a fist whose, I couldn't tell, slammed into my ribs, folding me over the table. Plates shattered, wine splashing crimson like blood. You sick fuck. Ryan snarled at me, twisting Ethan's arm behind his back until he yelped. Turning him gay? Sarah's rolling in her grave. Ethan spat, defiant, even pinned. She'd hate you more. Get off me. The fight erupted in chaos. Fists flying, furniture splintering, the acrid tang of spilled beer mixing with sweat and fear. I tackled one goon, knee to the gut, tasting copper as an elbow cracked my lip. Ethan broke free, grabbing a chair leg like a bat, swinging wild. Logan, behind you! I spun, dodging a haymaker, countering with a hook that split Ryan's brow. Blood sprayed, hot and sticky, and for a heartbeat, we had the upper hand, Ethan and I back to back. Breathing hard, a united front. But numbers won out. They dragged us down, boots thudding into ribs, curses raining like blows. Sirens wailed distant, a neighbor's 911 call cutting through the fray. Ryan paused, wiping blood from his eye, sneering down at us. This ain't over. We'll tell the world what you are. He spat, the glob landing on Ethan's cheek, and they fled into the night, leaving wreckage in their wake. We lay there, bruised and bleeding, the apartment a battlefield of overturned chairs and shattered glass. Ethan crawled to me first, hands gentle on my face, thumbs smearing the blood. You okay? I pulled him close, wincing at the fire in my side. Yeah. You? He nodded, but tears came then, silent and scalding. They touched you because of me. No. I cupped his jaw, fierce. Because of them. Their hate. But we survived. Together, ambulances came, cops with questions, we dodged self-defense. Intruders, no names given. Stitches for my lip, ice for Ethan's swollen eye, and a quiet ride to the ER where we held hands under the thin blanket, defying the nurse's curious glance. Back home by dawn, we cleaned in silence, sweeping shards and mopping wine, each broomstroke a reclamation. That night, bandaged and aching, we made vows, not pretty words, but gritty promises whispered in the dark, to fight, to heal, to never let them win. Love, we'd learned, wasn't soft petals. It was roots digging deep in rocky soil, weathering the gales. Spring thawed Chicago slowly, like a reluctant lover, melting the grime-caked snow into puddles that reflected the budding green of Grant Park. Our bruises faded to yellow ghosts, but the scars ran deeper, trust fractured, vigilance a constant companion. Ethan and I moved like sentinels, double-checking locks, scanning crowds at the corner bodega for Ohio plates. The shop let us keep our jobs, Hargrove grumbling about personal matters, but eyeing us wary, the whispers dying to awkward silences. Yet in the wreckage, something bloomed fiercer. Ethan threw himself into his art, welding sculptures from scrap, twisted metal lovers entwined, defiant against rust. For us, he'd say, welding sparks flying like fireworks, illuminating his focused face in the garage glow. I watched from the sidelines, pride swelling, and started writing again, pages filling with our story. Not sanitized, but raw, the ache of forbidden touch, the terror of exposure, the quiet joy of dawn after storm. We took small risks, testing the waters. A hand on the small of his back at the diner, our knees knocking under the table at O'Malley's. Once, emboldened by a stolen weekend at the Indiana Dunes, we walked the beach at sunset, fingers laced openly, waves lapping our ankles like applause. Feels normal? Ethan breathed. Head on my shoulder, the horizon bleeding orange. Deserves to be, I murmured, kissing his hair, salt-crusted and wind-tousled. But normalcy was a mirage, shimmering just out of reach. Marlene's letters arrived weekly now, postmarked Cleveland, her script elegant but edged with desperation. Ethan, my nephew, your family. This man, he's poison. Remember your mother's wishes. Enclosed were photos, Sarah on her wedding day, radiant in white, Ethan at prom, awkward in a tux, us all at Christmas, tinsel framed and laughing. Guilt gnawed at me, a rat in the walls, and one rainy afternoon, I confronted him over cooling coffee. She's not wrong, you know. About family. I pushed the latest envelope across the table, photos spilling like accusations. You could go back. Finish school. Date girls. Live easy. Ethan's eyes flashed, hurt and fury. Easy? Like pretending? Like letting them win? He swept the photos to the floor, scattering them like leaves. Mom wanted me happy. Logan. Not safe. And you make me happy. His words pierced, but doubt lingered, a shadow at our heels. The real storm brewed from within, betrayal's second act. It started with a call from Katie. Innocent, or so Ethan swore. She's sorry about Ryan, he explained, phone clutched tight. Wants to apologize in person. Clear the air. Jealousy flared, irrational and hot, but I swallowed it. Fine. But here. No secrets. She came on a muggy Saturday, all blonde waves and remorseful smiles, bearing a pie from her diner, apple, lattice crust perfect. We sat in the living room, awkward triangle on the sagging couch, small talk curdling like milk. I should have stopped him, Katie said, eyes on Ethan, soft with old affection. At the reunion. You didn't deserve that. Ethan nodded, tense beside me, his hand twitching toward mine but pulling back. Water under the bridge. As she left, hugging him goodbye, a beat too long, her cheek lingering on his, I saw the crack, the way his body leaned in. Instinctive, the ghost of what might have been. That night, as we lay spent and tangled, couldn't hold it. You still love her? He stiffened, rolling away to face the wall. No. It was habit. Comfort. But it looked real. The words slipped out, venomous in the quiet. He sat up, sheet pooling, moonlight carving shadows on his chest. And what about you? That guy at the shop, Martinez? The one who brings you coffee, laughs at your jokes. Martinez. A harmless flirt, grease monkey banter over torque wrenches. But Ethan's eyes burned, mirroring my own insecurity. It's nothing. Feels like something when you're pulling away again. He stood, pacing naked to the window, city lights gilding his form. Every time shit gets hard, you build walls. Like I'm the kid you have to protect from himself. The accusation landed true, and shame flooded me. I'm scared, Ethan, of losing you to this, to them, to normalcy. To me. He crossed back, kneeling between my legs, hands on my thighs, echoing that first night, but waited now with miles traveled. Then stop fighting alone. We're in this, or not at all. We talked till dawn, stripping bare, not just bodies, but fears, my closet shame from the Navy, dishonorable whispers that followed me home. his terror of rejection, the boy who'd built walls from football pads and fake bravado. By sunrise, we forged a pact, therapy, together, at the free clinic downtown. Queer-friendly, the pamphlet promised, and our first session cracked us open. Tears and laughter, the counselors gnawed a bomb. Progress was incremental, but real. Ethan sold his first sculpture, a twisted heart of rebar, to a gallery in Wicker Park, the check funding our California fund. I finished a chapter, emailing it to a lit mag on a whim, the rejection slip coming swift but kind. Voice resonates. Keep going. We celebrated with falafel from the truck on the corner, feeding each other bites under street lamps, giggles bubbling like cheap wine. The climax loomed, though inevitable as summer heat. Ryan's crew hadn't vanished. They'd metastasized online. A viral thread on some redneck forum. Gay grooming in Cheetown. Stop the perv stepdad. Photos leaked. Us at the dunes. Blurred but unmistakable. Shop candids. My arm around Ethan's shoulders. Hargrove called us in. Face grim as granite. Cops came by. Questions about assault. And this shit. He shoved his tablet at us. The screen a cesspool of hate. Shop can't weather scandal. One of you goes. Ethan's face crumpled, but I stepped up. Me. I'll clear out. Pride be damned. His future mattered more, the art, the dreams unfurling like fern fronds. No! Ethan exploded, voice echoing in the office. We go together. Or not at all, Hargrove sighed, rubbing his temples. Take the week. Sort it. But decide. We drove home in silence, the L rumbling overhead like judgment. At the apartment, Ethan paced, fury radiating. This is their endgame, drive us out. Apart. I pulled him down, onto the couch that sagged under our weight. Then we choose. Fight here, or flee west. His eyes searched mine. Stormy green. West. But not fleeing. Starting. We packed that night. Duffels bulging with essentials, his welding torch. My notebook. Sarah's photo framed in cracked glass. Marlene's final letter arrived at dawn. Unread. Ethan burned it in the sink. Ashes swirling down the drain like exorcism. As the sun crested, painting the room gold, we stood in the doorway, keys in hand, the city a sprawling lover we'd outgrown. One last kiss, deep and anchoring, then out into the fray, toward horizons unknown, hands clasped tight against the gathering storm. The drive west was a pilgrimage of sorts. I-80 unspooling like a vein across America's heartland, cornfields giving way to Rocky's jagged teeth, then the endless flat of Nevada before the Pacific's embrace. We took it slow, Ethan's old Ford pickup rattling with character, radio flipping between country twang and indie rock, our playlist a mixtape of Springsteen anthems and queer folk ballads. Stops were impulsive. A diner in Wyoming where the waitress winked at our joined hands. A motel in Utah with a neon vacancy sign that buzzed like promise, where we made love under thread count sheets. Windows open to starlit skies. California hit like a revelation. San Francisco's fog-shrouded hills. The tang of salt and sourdough. Rainbow crosswalks worn shiny by parades. We crashed with a cousin of mine. A leatherman from the Castro who'd gone straight edge in his 40s. His Victorian row house a haven of houseplants and Harvey Milk posters. Stay as long as you need, Uncle Ray boomed, clapping our backs with bear hug force. This city's built for outcasts. Job hunting was gritty. Ethan landed gigs welding installations for Burning Man prep, his sculptures fetching prices that made my mechanic soul gawk. I waitressed at a dive bar, tips fat from drag queens and techies, while querying agents with my manuscript, the stack of rejections thinning to one nibble. Intriguing. Send more. Nights, we explored hand-in-hand strolls down Market Street, where couples like us blended into the tapestry. Quiet dinners at hole-in-the-wall taquerias, sharing dreams over horchata. But peace wasn't instantaneous. Nightmares plagued Ethan, Ryan's fist, Marlene's pleas, waking him sweat-soaked, burrowing into my side with whispers of "don't leave." My own demons surfaced. Guilt over Sarah, the life we'd half-lived, manifesting in panic attacks that left me gasping on the fire escape. Ethan's arms my anchor. Therapy continued via Zoom, the counselor's voice a steady tether across miles. Betrayal's echo faded, but not without a final lash. A month in, as we signed a lease on a tiny Mission District flat, sun-drenched, with a balcony overlooking murals, Katie appeared. Not in person, but via email, forwarded from Marlene. A tearful missive. I was wrong. Saw the truth in Ryan's rage. Wish you both joy. Attached. A check. Her diner's rainy day fund. Enough for first and last month's rent. From one who loved him first, to the one who loves him best. Ethan read it aloud, voice thick, then framed the check on our fridge like a talisman. Redemption, he said, pulling me close. We all get a shot. Summer deepened, our rhythm syncing like well-oiled gears. Ethan's gallery show debuted, a series called Forged Bonds, metal figures embracing amid thorns. The artist's statement a veiled nod to us. Love as survival. Bent but unbroken. Critics raved. A collector from LA snapping up half. Overnight, he was the Castro's new darling. Interviews in queer rags that quoted his muse. Me. Unnamed but beaming from the wings. My book sold too. A small press deal for Grease and Grace. The cover a stylized wrench heart. Launch night at a Polk Street bookstore. Ethan in the front row. Eyes shining as I read the dedication. To E, who turned my wreckage to wonder. Q&A turned teary when a fan asked about the stepson arc. I glanced at him, voice steady. He's my everything. Partner. Love. Home. Climax came not with thunder, but quiet thunderclap. Marlene's visit. Unannounced. She arrived at our door one fog-draped October morning, suitcase in hand, face etched with the miles of doubt. Ethan froze in the threshold, me hovering behind like a shield. Auntie. She dropped the bag, arms opening. I came to see for myself, not to judge, to understand. We talked for hours, coffee cooling untouched, stories spilling, Sarah's secrets, our storms, the fragile beauty we'd carved. Tears flowed, hers for the nephew she'd nearly lost, his for the family fracture. By evening, as we walked her to the BART, she squeezed my hand. You saved him, Logan. From himself, from us. Thank you. No grand gestures, but absolution all the same. She left with a promise to visit. A photo of us three, new family. Arms linked, tucked in her purse. Winter returned gentler here. Rains pattering on our balcony as we hosted Thanksgivings with Ray's chosen clan. Queer elders swapping war stories. Ethan's sculptures as centerpieces. We adopted a rescue mutt, a scruffy terrier named Anchor, who claimed the foot of our bed like royalty. Mornings blurred into a haze of coffee and kisses, Evenings of writing beside welding, our worlds intertwining seamless. 1 year to the day from our drive, under a blood moon rising over the bay, Ethan knelt, not with a ring, but with a band of forged steel, hammered from shop scrap, etched with coordinates of our first kiss. Marry me proper? In this city of saints and sinners. I pulled him up, yes on my lips before he finished, our embrace a vow etched in stars. The wedding was small, Ray officiating on a Baker Beach bluff, waves crashing benediction, friends toasting with Napa Reds. No Ohio kin but Marlene's card, proud auntie to you both. We danced barefoot in the sand to an acoustic Thunder Road, his head on my shoulder, whispering, we made it. Life isn't fairy tale. It's mosaic, cracks gold-veined with kintsugi grace. We fight still over burnt toast, late nights at the studio, but make up fiercer, love a constant reclamation. Ethan's art evolves, installations speaking to hidden loves. My second book brews, chapters laced with our light. Anchor snores at our feet, the city hums beyond, a symphony of second chances. In quiet moments, I think of Sarah not with guilt, but gratitude. She gave me Ethan, a bridge from her world to mine, teaching me love's truest shape, not possession, but release. We are men, flawed and fierce, loving against odds, our story a testament, dramatic, yes, but deeply human. In America's vast tapestry, we are one thread, woven bold. And as Ethan sleeps beside me now, breath steady, hand curled over my heart, I know this is everything. Changed, yes, but whole.